Make sure after watching this video, you guys go in the description box down below. If you're a Fortnite head, 2K head, or just a gamer in general, they have the best accounts down there. Make sure you guys buy some accounts. And you guys, please, do not think it's a scam. It is 100% legit. I've tried it myself, so make sure you guys do that after watching this video.
My bitch drive a all white rank. Couldn't hit it if you niggas had aim. Lanes can't call and you lame. You had it and you lost a Hall of Shame. I can buy a Billy, don't talk to me. For a show 150, don't talk to me.
Man. Let the off season begin. You know, I was at work, or at least I was about to go to work, and then a notification popped up on my phone. I saw Bleacher Report, unlocked my phone, and I saw Anthony Davis traded, breaking news, all that. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I saw he was traded to the Lakers, and I was like, what the fuck? It was the same reaction, bro. And what's crazy is we all saw it coming. I mean, after that Rich Paul interview, let's be honest here, I think it was pretty set in stone that Anthony Davis was going to the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, think about it. When you have a team like the Lakers that Anthony Davis has been saying for months that he wants to go to as the primary destination, and sure, the Knicks were also on the list as a team that he would agree to be traded to or be happy to go to. But let's be honest here, if the Knicks were not getting Kyrie or Kevin Durant, they really had no reason to trade for Anthony Davis, because sure, you may make an 8th or 7th or even a 6th or 5th seed if you're lucky, but let's be honest here, Anthony Davis is leaving that scenario. It's not like he's going to stay there when he can go to a better team or a better situation after in free agency, because he only has 1 year left in his contract. So the Knicks were kind of out. And with Kevin Durant getting injured, that also ruled out teams like the Knicks and the Nets. But in this video, we're going to be talking about the winners and the losers of this trade. And honestly, we're just going to be talking about the trade as a whole and how it impacts the entire NBA. First, let's talk about some of the losers in this transaction without talking about the teams actually in the transaction. And obviously, how can you talk about the losers without mentioning the Knicks and the Celtics? When it comes to the Celtics, I think they're still losers despite having one of the better young cores of Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Smart and Rozier, if Rozier stays, and other quality good young players. But let's be honest, they could have upgraded their team to elite level status had they kept Kyrie Irving and re-signed him, and also traded for Anthony Davis. But with the disappointing season that they had this previous year, combined with the fact that Anthony Davis just doesn't want to play for them, that was a huge blow to that franchise. But they still do have some quality young players to work with and build around for the near future. But when you look at the New York Knicks, that is arguably the biggest L that we're probably going to see throughout the entire offseason, because they're not like the Boston Celtics that have a bright young core. Their young core honestly is not that great. Dennis Smith Jr. at best can be a quality starter. Kevin Knox had a pretty uneventful rookie year, and let's be honest, those were some pretty unimpressive stats that he put up, and they were empty stats at that. And Mitchell Robinson, I think he has a lot of promise and a lot of potential, but let's cut the cap. He ain't gonna become some superstar, some all-star or anything. At best, a good quality rim protector on a good team in the NBA, and that's at best. So when you look at that as the New Orleans Pelicans, are you taking that young core that's full of potential bust, and if they're not already confirmed bust? Or are you taking the core of the Los Angeles Lakers and you're also taking the 4th pick? I mean, that's just a no-brainer. The only reason you wouldn't trade him to the Lakers at that point would be completely out of spite. So when you look at the New York Knicks, they are arguably the biggest loser I've seen in an offseason since the Brooklyn Nets, when they traded all of those future first-round picks for Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Jason Terry. I will just never understand that trade. And also when you consider the fact that they lost in the draft lottery, getting the 3rd pick instead of the 1st pick, and they lost in terms of giving up Kristaps Porzingis to get some cap space, yeah, that's a tough L to swallow. But now let's move on to the winners, obviously the Pelicans and the Los Angeles Lakers. When you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, for one, having LeBron James and Anthony Davis plus cap room and you still kept Kyle Kuzma. I don't even know how they managed to keep Kyle Kuzma. Honestly, that should not have been a trade breaker for them. Even if the Pelicans asked for him, you give them Kyle Kuzma. I'm just going to be honest with you. But having that core of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Kuzma with a bunch of cap space is more than enough for the Los Angeles Lakers to build a solid roster and possibly win a championship in the upcoming NBA season. And honestly, when you look at this team, there's a chance that they could be the biggest winners of the entire offseason. Considering the cap space that they have, they can go and get some quality role players. I mean, we just saw Toronto win the finals with one superstar in Kawhi Leonard and surrounding him with good quality starters and role players. And considering that the Lakers have two superstars, I think that's the best idea for them to do. Surround them with some shooters and some good key quality role players, or hell, even trade for some role players that can contribute to your roster in positive ways. I honestly think that is something that the Lakers should do this offseason instead of just going out there and trying to sign the next superstar available on the market, such as Jimmy Butler or Kemba Walker, because honestly, as great as those players are or can be in Kemba Walker's case, because we haven't even seen him in the playoffs, just surround the players that you have with players that fit their play styles, because adding another max contract to this team and then having to pay Anthony Davis in the next offseason, that's going to really deplete the rest of your roster. And honestly, is it even worth it when you can just sign a bunch of good quality role players to your roster and then re-sign Anthony Davis? I mean, that's just a thought. Hell, if they want to go get another high-level player, get a Tobias Harris, because in my opinion, he spaces the floor, gets rebounds for you, is flexible, and sure, you could say he's not as good as a player like a Kemba Walker or a Jimmy Butler, but he is still a really solid player in the NBA. In my opinion, is at an all-star level when he plays at the best of his ability. And the fact that he's not as good as a Kemba or a Jimmy Butler, I think that even works in the favor of the Los Angeles Lakers, because you don't have to pay him as much as those guys. He's not going to be requesting a max contract like the contract that Jimmy Butler wants, or he's not like Kemba, because you know if Kemba's leaving Charlotte with all the money that they're going to potentially throw at him, you know for sure he's not going to leave that amount of money to go take a pay cut somewhere else, because honestly, that would just be stupid and boneheaded of him. So when it comes to the Los Angeles Lakers, huge winners in the offseason. Hopefully they don't go out there and fuck it up by signing a bunch of Rondos and JaVale McGee's and Lance Stephensons again, because at that point that would just be a huge colossal mistake and they would only have themselves to blame. But moving on to the New Orleans Pelicans, last but not least, because they certainly have a bright future, but honestly, I really don't know, because sure, they have a lot of good young talent, such as Zion potentially with that #1 pick. Who knows who they're going to get with that 4th pick? Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Julius Randle if they keep him. I mean, they got some good quality young players, but the problem is they're good young players, but just because players are good on the roster doesn't mean they're going to work well together, and that's going to lead to success. Lonzo can't finish around the rim with both hands. He also can't make a free throw, as well as Zion and Brandon Ingram, and he can't space the floor in any way, shape, or form. Zion has a lot of potential and a lot of upside, but he still can't make threes on a consistent level and couldn't even do that in college. And with a lineup where the only good three-point shooter is Jrue Holiday, yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. And when you look at Brandon Ingram, he just came back from blood clots, okay? We don't even know if that's going to be a continuous theme with him. And even if you want to scratch that off of his resume for some reason, like some people are doing, he is not a consistent player. Before he went on that incredible run, had the best games of his career, even though they were losing a lot of those games, but having the best game of his career, let's be honest here, Brandon Ingram was hella inconsistent, having stretches where he was hot, having stretches where he was cold, still doesn't have an identity. We don't know what type of player he is, and for a player that was heavily projected to be the next Kevin Durant, which is just ridiculous looking back on it now, and he's entering his 4th year without an identity to his game and play style, that is very alarming for Brandon Ingram and for any team that has him that tries to make him a focal point in a young core that they're building for the future. But regardless, I'm still going to give props to the New Orleans Pelicans, because hey, who knows? Who knows what they can get with that 4th pick? And honestly, they have some good players they can develop, they have time, they're not in a rush to win a championship anytime soon, and hey, Jrue Holiday, if he gets traded, He could get traded for some players or a player that could give them immediate help right now to help this young core get better with time. But in conclusion, shout out to Anthony Davis, because I heavily support players taking control of their own destinies, because that's basically what he did. He demanded a trade, went up to his agent did that interview, and now AD is where he wants to be, in LA with LeBron and a bunch of cap space to get anybody else. But also shout out to the New Orleans Pelicans, because they could have lost AD. AD could have just left them in free agency, but they got something back for him. And to the Celtics and the Knicks, y'all can fuck off, because I never liked y'all to begin with. But this is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, the links are down below in the description box. Also, you guys, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to be notified after each and every video that I post. Let the off season begin. I'm out. Peace.